Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm here to talk to you about How Far We Fall by Jane Schmidt. This is a book published in 2018, and if you watched my Christmas book haul, you know I got this because I got a gift card for Christmas and I bought a lot of books, and I got this one because I wanted something fast-paced and I assumed this was going to be it. So this is just the contemporary and I'm here just to talk a little bit about it. So the first half of this video will be spoiler free. So I just want to talk to you about the story and some of my thoughts, but I'm going to try not to spoil anything. And the second half of the video, I just want to talk about specific things, specific moments in this book that most of them upset me. I'm not really happy with any of them, but I'll explain why. So the story follows a couple, Beth and Albie. They met at a party. The party starts like this is the first thing that happens, so it's not a spoiler. And Beth is a theater nurse and Albie is a young neurosurgeon who's also responsible for this new research. Albie basically is trying to use the varicella virus, I believe, to kill inoperable tumors in children, brain tumors in children. I think they're like really difficult, and usually if you get that brain tumor, I mean, chances are you will die. So his research is all about trying to save children from having to die too young because of a brain tumor, and they're using this virus directly in the tumor, which apparently is all sorts of out there and just super new and refreshing, and it's basically his ticket to just be a huge celebrity in the surgery world. And they get together. But the problem is Albie doesn't know Beth had a complicated past with his boss, Ted. Ted is a neurosurgeon, he's a star, he's the head of the department. He works, this book is set in London, but he goes to America a lot, and he has all of these new opportunities, and he's helping Albie, reach his potential. He's trying to help Albie to be Ted, a younger Ted, because Ted is about to retire, or at least he's not planning on continuing working with all of these different mediums. So he's thinking about giving Ted the opportunity to be responsible for certain departments, certain things in the hospital, so Ted can just focus on other stuff that he wants to do. Because of that, Albie is he just admires Ted so much. He really looks up to him, and he could never think that Ted would do anything to hurt him. When Albie suspects that Ted is taking credit for his research, Beth starts to manipulate Albie in a way to sort out his problems at work, but also as a way for her to get revenge on Ted and for what Ted did to her years ago when they were together. So basically that's the idea. I didn't say anything that is a spoiler, but if you have this edition, I don't think there is another edition of this book. This was published in 2018. I mean, I think this is the only cover, I'm not sure. But if you read the blurb, and if you read the review things they have here, like the short sentences by Daily Mail, Daily Express, Woman and Home, Sarah Vaughan, best-selling author of Anatomy of a Scandal. This basically says it all. And that was one of the things that made me believe the book was going to be really simple to read and really fast-paced, and it wasn't. Until the second act, because this is not divided in parts, it's divided in acts. How bougie is that? Until the second act, if I'm not mistaken, the book is so slow. I was really close to just put it down, and I was not going to finish it, but I hate DNFing books. It's just something that I really don't like doing. So I really try to power through it because I want to give the book a chance, and maybe I will enjoy it later. but I have to be honest, it's super slow in the beginning, and it just feels like the narrator is rambling a lot. So you already know, you can predict what is going to happen in the following pages, but the narrator is like still processing things, and you have to be there with the narrator until they understand, like, okay, this is what is going to happen. You're like, yeah, I know, I was here. So I was a bit disappointed because I bought this book just because of that, because I wanted something fast-paced to read when I wasn't in the mood to read anything else. And it's just, I don't know, it's just, I think it was trying to do more. The author was trying to do more with it than it was possible. I mean, the premise itself, there's not a lot to do with it. Basically, I already told you everything. If you connect the dots, you already know what's going to happen. And another thing that really upset me is this Sarah Vaughan best-selling author of Anatomy of a Scandal. Her review is here, and I'm going to read it. I mean, this is not a spoiler. If you buy the book, you'll probably read this. A modern Macbeth with a compelling sense of place, good twists, and a tense, intense ending. Have you read Macbeth? If you have read Macbeth, you know what's going to happen, because I already told you everything. And that was another reason why I thought this was going to be fast-paced. I mean, you are comparing this book, I'm not trying to say like this is not a good book or anything like that, or this is a bad author. You're trying to compare like a contemporary to a play by Shakespeare. I mean, if you're going to do that, you have to at least give something to the readers. I mean, the plot is already basically there. You already know what's going to happen if you know Macbeth. So maybe the writing has to be like really well developed. It is well written, but again, this narrator is so annoying and boring, and it takes the guy so long to just go on that I was predicting everything that was going to happen. I'm sorry, but the lighting is just, the sun comes and goes. So yeah, I was a bit upset with it, but I finished it, and I have to say, like, mid of Act 2 or Act 3, the story started to get interesting, but still always very predictable. This is a simple book. I mean, this is not something that will make you reflect a lot, but it's interesting. I was just expecting it to be more, action, and really grab your attention and motivate you to keep reading. And I was just looking forward to get to the good stuff, like, okay, if this is a modern Macbeth, I'm assuming this is going to happen. And it did happen, but it took a long time. One thing that I liked about this book was the language, the scientific language. So Albie's a neurosurgeon, and there is a lot of passages dedicated to his research alone. There's a lot of scientific jargon, I'm not going to lie, and sometimes that's a bit hard to follow if you don't really know anything about the subject, but it was interesting, and I like to read something that I have no knowledge prior to that, and it was just something that it makes sense in my head. I'm not sure if this is something that people are actually doing, but I read here that Jane Schmidt's husband is a professor of neurosurgery, so I'm going to go out on a limb here and assume that she had obviously some help when she was writing these passages, these scenes, because I mean, there are very super scientific. They talk about stuff that if you don't study science, you probably don't know that it's possible to do. So that's an advantage, I believe. My thoughts, did I like the book? I'm not sure, I'm still debating. I mean, I didn't like most of it, but I mean, towards the end it got interesting, and then the ending, I don't agree that it's a intense ending, honestly, but it wasn't bad. I just think that, again, I think the author was trying to do a lot with this book, and she really didn't have it's not like she didn't have the opportunity to do it. I just think that she chose the wrong way to do it. She focused on the wrong things. and she didn't pay attention to other details that I think were important. And then there's like this other plot on top of the main plot, and just what? So this was a thriller / contemporary / mystery / crime. It was a lot of stuff in one book. It just but yeah, if you don't have anything to read and you don't really want to read anything too complex, and this book is perfect for that, but don't expect a lot from it. It's just my opinion. So now I want to talk about some specific things. So if you are planning on reading this book and you are sensitive to any little detail, then don't watch the rest of the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. And for those of you who stayed, let's talk about Albie for a second. Okay, let's talk about Albie. Albie is this young neurosurgeon / PhD candidate or whatever, research fellow, and obviously has this very pragmatic, practical mindset. So he's very detail-oriented. He thinks about the greater good. So he's not, at the beginning of the book, he knows Ted is going to take credit for his research, because Ted is the head of the department. So obviously the head of the department takes credit. And Albie's name will be there, but the main name will be Ted's. And he knows this, but at the same time, he's human enough to say that, okay, but that is not going to stop me from coming up with this solution and saving children from death, just because Ted is going to take credit for my research. He knows that one day he's not going to need Ted's help because he's going to be a superstar. So for now, it's just, okay, he's fine with having to compromise there. But when Beth tells him, like, be careful because it seems like Ted is taking credit for your research and whatever, even though he already knew that, it's like he woke up and it's like, oh my god, damn, bitch is trying to take credit for my research. He's just super easy to manipulate. He's literally like taking candy from a child, which is sad because I thought that his character was really strong and he was just going to confront her. Okay, look, something is happening here. You're not telling me the whole story. What's the deal here? Why do you want me to just turn on Ted after everything that he did for us? Like, he's trying to help me become a better doctor, and we are actually going to get a lot of money out of this research, so our lives are going to be easy. Why are you trying to why are you trying to influence me to go against him now? But no, he's just completely in love with her, and even though he knows, or he has this idea that, okay, I think she doesn't like him very much, he never questions her about her feelings towards Ted. So he never asks, look, what's your problem? And when she finally tells him what happened, so they had an affair years ago, she got pregnant, he left her, she did not have the child, and obviously she was traumatized because of it. It's already too late. Albie is already upset with Ted's presence. Like, Ted's presence is enough to just really annoy Albie. Like, Albie all of a sudden just hates him. Like, Ted breathes and Albie's like, oh god, there he goes again, breathing. Like, he's the only one who does that. When Albie realizes that Ted had an important role in Beth's life years ago, he completely lost it. And so even if Beth was like trying to change his mind, she couldn't, because she had done so much already. She was like on him all the time. Why are you letting Ted taking credit? Why is Ted so important in your life? Blah, 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 blah. And now she tells him, oh, by the way, he was really mean to me when we were together. He left me, broke my heart, and I was pregnant with this child, and that's why now we cannot have kids. I mean, I don't want to explain why she can't have kids, but because of what she went through with being pregnant with Ted's child. She cannot have kids now, and that's something that Albie really wants. He wants to be a father, and she just neglects telling him when she's supposed to. So she keeps pretending that she's trying and goes to the doctor and everything, but she knows that there's no use to that. But basically, Albie's character, I was expecting a lot more. I was actually expecting it to be different, and I was expecting Beth to have to be a lot smarter. It was just super easy to manipulate him. It was just, okay, he wants to be a father, he wants to be this highly acclaimed neurosurgeon, so I'm just going to use that to manipulate him to do what I want him to do. And if Albie was a stronger character, if he had a stronger personality, he would probably fight against that, because he was deep down a good person. And that will make her job a lot harder. Now I have to actually think about how I'm going to change his mind. But no, it didn't happen. He was just super soft. Say, do this, and he did it. So it's kind of like a puppy, which is cute and sad at the same time. At the beginning of some chapters, let me see if I can find one. Oh, there you go. You have this short passage here. Sometimes it's just one paragraph, sometimes it's longer than that. And this is a play on stage. And the audience is watching the play. You're not really sure what the play is about. You don't know if it's like a representation of Albie's mind, consciousness, or Beth's. We don't know exactly. But there's just some ideas on what is going to happen during that chapter. I just think that's just so over the top. That's so extra. You do not need it. Like I said, it seems like the author was trying too hard. We're not really sure. Like, I read those passages more than once, and I'm still like, okay, they're interesting, but why are they here? We don't need them. You didn't need them. I think she was really trying to... I think she woke up one day and said, I'm going to write a book that is going to be the modern Macbeth. I mean, I can't really see another reason for some characters, for these passages, for the plot itself. I think she just woke up one day and said, I'm going to write the modern Macbeth. Maybe one day we'll have the modern Taming of the Shrew, or Hamlet, or Othello, or something. I don't know, another modern, right? And it's a bit sad. It just feels like sometimes maybe authors they're just under so much pressure that they have to come up with all of these new ideas and try to do more with the book than with the plot, and the plot doesn't really allows them to do more. It's a simple plot, and if you want to develop the plot well, maybe you should just use your writing instead of trying all of these extra things to make it believable. The passages, I mean, I can read you a bit of the passage or something just for you to see. Stage, a player, his victims, a witness, ambition, fate, destiny, etc. Witness, to see, hear, or know by personal presence and perception. The witness can be a bystander, an enemy, a lover, a beholder. It can be someone you don't even notice at first. Ambition, hovering in the wings. Fate, announced by drum rolls from the pit. Destiny, directing proceedings, having it all her own way. That was poetic, but unnecessary. The stage is empty. The stage is empty now except for the hooded ones, their weaving finished. They point into the shadows at the back. Their voices hiss. Here he comes, the man with red hair, red for danger, red for blood and lust and fire. He's out of breath, late but not too late, naive but not innocent, impatient but not desperate, dangerous but not yet. The chant begins. DNA, destiny, destiny, DNA. Of all people, he should know that they are, more or less, exactly the same. Then you have these passages that make a little more sense, because the man with red hair is Albie, and red for danger, red for blood, lust and fire. he's dangerous but not yet. So he's not yet dangerous, but he will be. So they sort of predict what is going to happen, but they're unnecessary. These things are unnecessary. I think a lot of people reading this book are just going to, okay, whatever, and they're not going to think about it, and they're not going to try and see, okay, so what's the deal here? Why is this written? Why did you decide to add this? All right. So, why did he turn on Ted? It wasn't because of Beth's past with him, because he knew that after. What happened was, he finished his research, and his research or his study was bought by this pharmacist in America, and they were going to get a lot of money out of it. But Albie failed to test certain things during his research, during the trial. He finds out later on that this group of people, I'm not sure, so they had a similar research, and 2 children died because they failed to run tests that were important for the trial, and Albie, did the same thing. And when he finds it out, he's like a good guy. He calls Ted and he tells him, like, heads up, we might be in trouble. And Ted is like, oh my God, my reputation. You have to go back into the lab, and you have to run tests, and you have to have 2 control groups. So Ted is on board with it. Like, it is his reputation. His name is going to be there. So he's not playing around. But because Albie is human, I don't know if this sounds right, but because he's so human, he thinks that, or Beth leads him to believe that, even though some children might die, think about all the others that will live. And Albie's like, yeah, you're right. I mean, if this test fails, Varamex, the company in America, will not buy the product, and I have to start all over again. So, yeah, you're right. Why would I jeopardize all of this? Millions of kids will still get treatment, even if a couple die. I don't know, it just feels like if he was a bit more, if his scientific mind was a bit more well developed, he would think that it is just not ethical to allow this product to be out there and for people to use it, even if one child dies. But I think a lot of people would think the way he did and Beth did, that okay, 2 died, but millions lived, so why not? It is a question of ethics, and it was an interesting question that the book had, but then again, it was only for the plot. It was plot driven. They never considered it before, and it was his way of getting what he wanted. So by that time, he was already so, like, he was already so in love with he was already so in love with Beth that he didn't care if the study failed and a couple of children die. I already have my money, and Ted is the head of the department taking credit for my research, so he'll have to deal with that. He became so neurotic, and he wasn't looking at a greater good anymore. He wasn't looking to help people anymore. He was looking about helping himself and, look good while doing it. So he messed with the trial. Ted gets accused, and that's when Albie feels like he has the power to do something. Considering everything that Ted did before, so he was taking credit for his research. Then he finds out that Ted mistreated Beth in the past, so everything together, and Ted is getting accused, his morale is down. It's a perfect timing to do something about it. I mean, you may consider this character development. I was really, really upset. I just think that Albie he was a waste. It was collateral damage to this book, Just he deserved more as a character, I think. He was a good guy in the end, so I don't think that he would change his mind like that. and I don't think he would live his life being easily manipulated like he was. Another thing that upset me was Ted. So super annoying, he's over the top, he thinks he's better than anyone else, he mistreated Beth. I agree with all of that, and I agree that, even though it's normal for him to take credit because he's head of the department, if he was an honest guy, he would probably okay, my name is going to be there next to yours, but I will make sure that everybody knows this was your idea. When he gets accused, he becomes suicidal. He's so depressed knowing that his reputation, everything he fought for, everything he worked for, is being questioned now because 2 children died, and it was his trial. His name is there, so it was his trial. He authorized that, and he sold it, supposedly knowing that the trial would kill people. He becomes suicidal. He's super depressed. His children are really concerned about him. So they take him to Albie and Beth. Albie and Beth are just spending their holiday in Jura, where Beth has, Albie has a house, his family house or something. And they go there, and Ted tells him no, I'm actually better. I'm doing much better because I found evidence that it was not my fault, that someone messed with the trial, yes, but it wasn't my fault. And Albie becomes super nervous, obviously, because, oh my God, I did it. They're probably, they will find out that I did it. But Ted doesn't know yet, so that's good. And I thought that, okay, Ted is doing better. He's not suicidal and depressed anymore. He'll be able to clean his name and stop people from questioning all of his achievements. So this was a wake-up call. He's going to change his ways. He's not going to mess around anymore. But no, the author decided that he was going back to his old ways. So even though he was there with his children and a family friend and Albie and Beth, every time Beth and Ted were alone, Ted would hit on her, flirt with her, even though he mistreated in the past, even though she lost a child and he knows she did, even though he knows Beth never told Albie about them, and that's good because Ted really needed Albie. Just to earn money, to get more credit for stuff. He knows all of this, and he still flirts with her and tries to, restart their affair without Albie knowing. And I was really upset. I was just so disappointed. I thought Ted was going to change his ways, and I was actually feeling sorry for him. And then the author goes and does this. And obviously, when Albie does something about it, and I'm pretty sure you know what he's going to do to Ted, it's hard for you to feel sorry for Ted because he was already a bastard again. He was a bastard, he was a mean bastard, and even though he went through this wake-up call karma moment, he didn't change his ways after. He just kept living his life as if nothing would ever affect him anymore. Nothing would ever touch him. He's better than anybody else. He always finds a way. This is not character development in my book. I think that, again, she neglected developing her characters because she was too focused on making this the modern Macbeth. The author clearly used Macbeth premise, changed the names, made it modern because it's in 2017. Yeah, the book is set in 2017 London. And that was it. I think she one day woke up and said, you know what? I bet I can write something that people will get that was inspired by Shakespeare and just be super popular. I think she was too focused on that, and because of that she neglected a lot of stuff. She failed to pay attention to certain details. She failed to develop the plot further. She chose a lousy narrator that, this narrator is so slow. The reader is literally 2 or 3 pages ahead of the narrator because it's just, bad. And failed to develop the characters well. She was too focused on making sure the characters match the ones in Macbeth, and that's sad to me. The book is not horrible, but it's not something that I was expecting. I was literally expecting something that was less obvious. And you have the 3 witches, which that's a whole different discussion. I don't even know what they're doing there. They're just so obvious again. You have 3 sisters, all of them have different hair colors. All of them had different personalities that sort of represent their powers. Fine. I didn't love it. I don't think I'll read it again. And I don't think I'll read her first, I don't know if this was her first book or not, Daughter, from the author of Daughter. I don't know if Daughter was her first book. I don't know how many books. Oh, her first novel, yeah. So it was her first novel. I mean, look at the font. This is supposed to be fast-paced. It's not. Half of the stuff here she didn't need to add. And instead of adding those things, she could have just focused on developing other important details in this book. Even Beth's death, her suicide is so like, yeah, she killed herself. So a couple months after, we do not get to see how Albie, processed her death, what he did, what happened, who told him, where's the body, did they find it? I think they did, actually, and I'm not sure. Was there a ceremony? Like, we don't know this. She dies, and Albie's like, okay. A couple of months after, Albie's already... And obviously he's suffering, and you can see that, but, that gap between her death and a couple of months later, we don't know what happened. And I would prefer that bit than, for example, the ending. The ending was just stupid, because he was getting away with it, and then all of a sudden, because he's fighting with this family... this guy is like a friend of Ted's family. He's not really his kid, but he's not his kid, but Ted treated him like he was his father. He's having a fight with this person, and this person is trying to get him to confess. And Albie is doing great, like he's getting away with it, and then he just lost it, and he's just like, oh yeah, I did it, and I'll do it again. Why? You had it all now. I mean, it just proves that Albie was super weak. And just a waste. Albie is a waste. It's a poor character. I'm really sorry that he had to go through this. Honestly, he deserved better. The perfect marriage, the perfect murder. You already know what happened. Like I said, this video had spoilers like during the second half, but you really don't need spoilers. Like, just go pick up the book and read the blurb, read the reviews, and you know what it is. You know what's going to happen. It's sort of sad. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Alfredo is over there sleeping. I'm about to leave because I have to go to work. And I hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you all very, very soon. Bye!